I am 102 years old, and I should be dead. That is not an exaggeration. That is the literal medical reality of my situation. 15 years ago, when I was 87, my blood sugar reached 385. My doctor told me I had weeks to live, maybe a few months if I was lucky. My kidneys were failing. My vision was going. My feet were numb. Every symptom of advanced diabetes was happening at the same time. I was 87 years old and I was dying. But something happened that changed everything. I discovered a simple, natural food that helped my body completely turn things around. It didn't just manage the symptoms. It brought my entire system back into a healthy balance. My blood sugar went from 385 down to 120. My kidney function normalized. My vision came back. The numbness in my feet disappeared. All of this happened in 3 weeks, not 3 months, 3 weeks. And I have been incorporating this one food into my diet every single day for the past 15 years. I am 102 years old. My doctors cannot explain how I am alive. They cannot explain how I am healthy. They cannot explain why this simple change worked when nothing else did. Today I am going to tell you exactly what this food is, and more importantly, I am going to tell you why the mainstream health industry rarely talks about it. Let me take you back to 2009. I was 87 years old. I thought my life was over. I had been dealing with high blood sugar for 30 years at that point. For 3 decades I did everything right. I took my medications. I watched my diet. I exercised. I followed every single piece of advice my doctor gave me, and my blood sugar kept getting worse. By 2009, I was on 7 different medications, 7 different pills taken at different times of the day. The side effects were destroying me. Nausea, dizziness, leg cramps, constant fatigue. I could barely get out of bed, and my levels were still out of control. My doctor kept increasing my doses, higher doses of insulin, higher doses of other medications added to the mix. By 2009, I was injecting myself with insulin 3 times a day. I was taking enough pills to fill a small bottle, and my blood sugar was still 300, 320, sometimes 350. That is when my doctor pulled me aside and told me the truth. He said my kidneys were beginning to fail. He said my condition had progressed to the point where we were no longer managing it. We were just watching me decline. He said I probably had 6 months to a year left to live, maybe 2 years if I was very lucky. I was 87 years old and I was being told I was dying. I remember going home that day and sitting at my kitchen table for hours. I did not cry. I did not panic. I just sat there, staring at my bottles of pills, thinking about my life ending. My family was devastated. My children were saying goodbye. My grandchildren were being brought to see me while they still could. I had accepted that this was the end, but I had one thing left to try. I had a friend who had gone through something similar. Her name was Eleanor. She had faced the same struggles, but somehow she had managed to bring her body back to perfect health. I asked her how she did it. What was different about her approach? What did her doctors do that mine did not? She looked at me and smiled. She told me she had to look beyond conventional treatments. She explained that she had started researching alternative, natural approaches, and she had discovered something that, according to standard textbooks, shouldn't have been enough on its own. A single food that, when added to a daily routine, could help support healthy blood sugar in weeks. I was skeptical. I had heard about miracle cures before. I had seen infomercials. I had heard promises. Nothing had ever worked, but Eleanor was living proof that something worked. So I asked her what the food was. She told me it was something so simple, so ordinary, that most people never considered it. It was something I probably had in my kitchen already. It was something that cost almost nothing. She mentioned that the massive pharmaceutical industry doesn't promote things like this because there is no profit in ordinary foods. If people knew how to manage their health naturally, the demand for expensive lifelong medications would plummet. I was skeptical, but I was also desperate. What did I have to lose? I decided to try this approach for 3 weeks. That was Eleanor's recommendation. Give it 3 weeks alongside careful monitoring. I started the very next day. I introduced this specific food into my morning routine. I kept monitoring my levels closer than ever before. As my numbers began to drop rapidly and safely over the next few days, I realized my body didn't need the heavy burden of all those pills anymore. Under careful supervision, the daily insulin injections were phased out because my body was finally responding on its own. The first day was strange. I felt different immediately. My energy felt different. My hunger felt different. By the second day, I was experiencing something I had not experienced in years. My blood sugar was stable. I checked it frequently and it was staying in the range of 160-180. For someone who had been running 300-350, this was extraordinary. By the third day, something remarkable happened. I woke up and my feet did not hurt. For years, the poor circulation and nerve discomfort had caused constant pain in my feet, sharp, burning pain that made it difficult to walk. On the third day of adding this food to my life, the pain was gone. I tested my blood sugar again. It was 145. I called Eleanor. I told her what was happening. She said, "You are experiencing what I experienced. Keep going, monitor your progress, and watch your body heal." She was right. Over the next 3 weeks, something incredible happened to my body. My blood sugar dropped consistently, day 5 to 130, day 8 to 125, day 12, 120, day 15 to 118, day 21 to 116. By day 21, my blood sugar had stabilized at around 116. For someone who had been running 300-350 just 3 weeks earlier, this was like being reborn. But the blood sugar was just the beginning. My vision started coming back. The blurriness that had plagued me for years began to clear up. By week 3, I could read without glasses. I could see clearly for the first time in a decade. The numbness in my feet disappeared. That burning discomfort that I had lived with for so long was just gone. I could feel the ground beneath my feet again. My energy returned. I had been exhausted for years. I could barely get out of bed. But after 3 weeks, I felt like myself again. I had energy to walk, to move around, to do things. My doctor was bewildered. When I went for my checkup, he ran every test he could think of. Blood sugar, 116, kidney function, normal, vision, excellent, all of my health markers, improved. He said, "Something has changed dramatically. What did you do?" I told him about the food. I told him that my levels improved so fast that the heavy medications were no longer necessary. He was skeptical. He said it was impossible. He said I must have made a mistake in my readings. He said my system could not have recovered so quickly from the strain it had suffered. But the tests did not lie. Everything was better. He asked me to continue what I was doing. He said he wanted to monitor me. He wanted to understand what was happening. That was 15 years ago. 15 years later, I am 102 years old. I am still using this same food every single day. My blood sugar is still around 116. My kidneys are still functioning normally. My vision is still clear. I am still healthy, and my doctor still cannot explain it. Now you are waiting for me to tell you what this food is. You are probably thinking it is something exotic, something expensive, something you have never heard of, but it is not. It is cinnamon. That is it, cinnamon. A spice that costs almost nothing. A spice that most people have sitting in their kitchen cabinet right now. For 15 years, I have taken 1 tablespoon of pure cinnamon every single morning, sometimes mixed with water, sometimes mixed with yogurt, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon every single day. That is what helped support my system. That is what helped save my life. But here is what is important. This is not just my story. There is actual science behind how this spice interacts with the human body. Cinnamon contains powerful plant compounds called polyphenols. These compounds directly affect how your body processes sugar. They help improve insulin sensitivity, allowing your cells to utilize glucose much more efficiently. Studies have shown that cinnamon can significantly lower fasting blood sugar levels in people managing type 2 diabetes. Not everyone responds as dramatically as I did, but the research is clear. Cinnamon works. But major pharmaceutical companies cannot make billions from cinnamon. You cannot patent a natural spice. You cannot charge hundreds of dollars for a bottle of ordinary cinnamon. There is no massive profit in it. So the mainstream medical establishment rarely highlights cinnamon as a primary support tool. They push expensive options, lifelong prescriptions, and medications that cost hundreds of dollars per month. They don't talk about simple dietary shifts because the financial incentive just isn't there. The global healthcare market makes hundreds of billions of dollars per year from managing chronic conditions. If everyone knew that simple, natural lifestyle and dietary changes could powerfully manage their health, that entire financial system would shift. The companies would lose massive revenue, so the system is naturally geared toward keeping you dependent on treatments rather than finding simple supports. They do not advertise natural remedies. Medical schools don't focus heavily on nutrition because the system is designed around managing illness, not maximizing wellness. If you are completely healthy and independent, the industry doesn't profit, but if you are dependent on regular prescriptions, they do. This is why Eleanor told me to look outside the box, because the standard path was only looking at managing my decline, not helping me thrive. If you are looking to support your blood sugar, here is the approach I took. Get pure, high-quality cinnamon, not artificial flavoring, pure cinnamon powder. You can get it at any grocery store for a few dollars. Incorporate 1 tablespoon into your morning routine. You can mix it with water, yogurt, or oatmeal. Give your body 3 weeks of consistent nutrition and healthy habits. Track your levels closely. You will likely see a very encouraging shift. But here is the most important part. Always work with a healthcare professional. Do not abruptly stop any prescribed treatment on your own. Monitor your progress safely, and as your readings naturally improve, work with your doctor to adjust or reduce your medications based on real data. Give it 3 weeks, track your progress, then have an honest conversation with your doctor about your improved health. I am 102 years old. I should be dead according to every medical prediction made 15 years ago, but I am alive. I am healthy, and I owe it to listening to my body and utilizing a simple spice that costs almost nothing. If you are struggling, if your levels feel out of control, please take control of your nutrition. Try adding this to your routine for 3 weeks. Measure your results, see for yourself, and then leave me a comment. Tell me your results. Tell me how your journey is going. Because there are millions of people looking for answers, unaware of how much power lies in simple, natural solutions. Subscribe for more insights on natural wellness that mainstream media rarely shares. I am 102 years old. I am a living testament to the incredible power of nurturing your body naturally.